You're welcome to today's session where we'll be discussing Microsoft, we're talking about data analytics. All right. So we'll be discussing data analytics in this particular session. And the topic, right, really, or what you might consider to be our goal for this session would be discussing data analytics, which we called, the course really was data analytics for beginners, but we'll try to go beyond just beginners, if you will, and see how much we can discuss when it comes to data analytics in general. Okay, so what we plan to do today is to make sure we can share understanding, share knowledge, talk about data analytics, break down some core concept of data analytics that you might have some questions about. I mean, Adeola, I remember we discussed at some point before today where you asked some questions and I was able to answer them somehow. Okay, that was when we discussed data analytics, the roles, and so on. So today we want to discuss that in form of our class. And just so you know, again, this session will be recorded. And just like what I will always say in any class that I anchor, I am open to taking questions. I don't feel, even though this is a private class to you, I want you to know that you can ask questions, even in our general classes, in our private classes, we are open to taking questions. We don't assume you know. I would also want you to assume that you know. If something I said along the way or something Kingsley says along the way, something we say along the way is not clear, please feel free to call our attention back and ask that question. And even if you don't know how to ask the question, put it in the way that you understand. Okay, just so that we also we are we can get to know each other. When it gets to the point of introducing, I will turn on my camera so you can see my face, at least get to see this Emmanuel without the picture.
Okay.
And I guess Kinsey will do the same thing. I am not okay. I think I've seen your own face already from your profile picture. If you are okay with sharing, we wouldn't mind. I'll just for a minute or two so we can see one another. So that is but
I
that is
might
what
not
we
be, but I might
sorry.
not be able to open. I might not be able to open my video on this laptop.
That's
My camera is not.
all
Is
right. That's
faulty.
that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. That's fine. Not a problem. So what we plan to cover for today, the follow not for today in the full course is data analytics. At least I've shared this the course content with you already. Data analysis, what are the core data concepts, how to prepare data for analytics purposes, and we can then do a bit of an introduction to Power BI before we can then launch ourselves into the full Power BI course. Okay, but I just wanted to make sure that we have a clear understanding of even the background behind data and analytics. But before I go into this session for today, Dela, I think it is fair for me to ask a general question. What do you understand as data analysis? I think I feel I should ask that question. What do you understand as data analytics? What does it ring to you whenever you hear that concept, so that I can pick where you are at the moment and see how I can help you understand the full concept of data analytics.
Mm,
Did you get my question?
Can you hear me? I was speaking. I didn't know I was on mute.
Okay,
Can you
you
hear
are
me?
muted. I can hear you now. Yes.
So I said what I understand by data analytics is being able to analyze data. That means gathering a set of information in a particular format and then analyzing that information to in a meaningful way such that you can make inferences or use the results of that analysis to make decisions.
Fantastic. I mean, that's summarizes data analytics. I won't take anything out of your understanding of data analytics. We will only build upon that. Okay. Thank you very much for that, for sharing. And as I said again, I was going to go to the point where we get to introduce ourselves. First off, my name is Emmanuel. My surname is Opara, but I think I personally prefer going with Prophet Maxine, but it didn't just start out like that. It became a fun name for me, and it became a name I got used to over time. All right, I think I got the title, if you will, professor from the age of, was it 5? When I can still remember, I think it was from the age of 5 or thereabouts. I could still remember when that came. Then it's been like, but Professor Maxine is a name I choose to call myself sometimes, or people prefer calling me that, but my name is Emmanuel. Okay, and let me turn on my camera at this point so you could see. Let me see. Um, Let me know when you can see me. I don't know if my camera is showing. Okay. Yes, that's me.
Oh, okay, yes, I can see.
Hello.
Um,
Yeah. Nice meeting you. Kingsley, do
nice.
you mind doing the same? Okay. While Kingsley is turning on his camera, let me quickly introduce myself. Aside from, of course, the name, um, I've been in data space for um, give or take about 8+ years now, and that's on a professional level, I need to state. But before then, of course, I've always been a fan of numbers. I love numbers. I think it just happened to be so, right? It just happened to be that I tend to um, love numbers. I studied mathematics in school. That's my co-tutor here. That's David. That's my co-tutor here. That's David. That's my boy.
Sweet.
Say hello. Can you see yourself there? Don't worry, he always shows up in my classes. I don't know why, but we ran an Excel
Very,
bootcamp earlier in the year, and he was also one of the tutors for that particular bootcamp. Yeah.
that's
So
very
I'm a graduate of mathematics, and I've been doing data analytics for quite some time now. And
okay.
um, I've grown from just being a data analyst to someone who is now in charge of sometimes data analytics teams, building new solutions that are data related, and so on. I also have my stint with software development. So I have a bit of an understanding and a background in that. I have a good working knowledge when it comes to that space. David, do you want to take over the whole camera? All right. Let's have a good understanding when it comes to software development as well. I also do a bit of data engineering, which we'll also discuss. We'll get to share what is data analytics, how does it even differ from data engineering, because some of you look around on the world today when you talk about the tools or anything that has to do with data, you will hear a lot of names, a lot of professions, and so on. We'll see how much we can help you shape that understanding. Um, I did a bit of data engineering, yes. I also do a bit of consultancy as well. My role requires me to do that, but I also do that on a personal basis. Of course, I love to teach, and I also train people when it comes to data analytics. Now, I'm speaking about data analytics when it comes because that is what this course is about. But truth be told, that there's a laundry list of other things I also do because I kind of do it quite a lot when it comes to IT and IT related things, but that is not the conversation for today. That's something we can always discuss as we go along. So that is my own introduction, and I think I would like Kingsley to do his introduction at this point. He's smiling there already. So kindly go ahead and do your introduction, Kingsley. Kingsley, if you're speaking, I can't hear you. Is it just me? All right.
I can't hear anyone. Sorry, was I supposed to? I thought you called Kingsley or
Yes,
yes.
yes, yes.
Okay.
I'm assuming that this is most likely going to be a network related issue, but I would will allow him to introduce himself once he's able to get back to us. So I think I'll also stop sharing my video at this point so that we can also manage
Yes, the data. Yes,
to
yes.
data so that you can hear each other and not have a break like this current one.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. So now let me go into what I have to share with you for today. So that's me, and that's my partner when it comes to training. So now let's talk about data analysis. Okay, and yes, you gave an instance. So you said something about data analysis earlier, which I said I am not going to take anything away from, but I'll just try to help you frame it again from the experience I've gathered over um, the years. I'll help you frame that explanation, right? Now, please, if at any point again you are confused about anything I say, let me know. Okay, let me know so that I could rephrase it or find a better way to explain that. Now, data analysis, right, is that process, as you said earlier, that requires you now collecting data, manipulating it, examining it, and getting real insight from that data. Okay, that's data analysis. It's really about fetching the data, um, cleaning it up when necessary, manipulating it, which we also call transformation. All right, and then it doesn't stop there. Then you now try to get some insight from that data. You're now the word is analyzing it. What does this mean? What does this imply? What could this mean? What could this imply? Where does this lead us to? If you're looking at it from a business point of view, where does the information we can gather from this data lead us to? For instance, you okay, you said you went to the market earlier today, right? And I'm sure the typical way of shopping should most likely be how much is this, how much is that one. You try sometimes you try to negotiate and so on and so forth. In a typical market day, what you are doing is you are fetching data, truth be told. You go from shop one, you ask the woman there how much is this, she tells you, you probably okay, that's good. You go to other shop, you what is how much is this? It tells you. In your mind, you're already doing some you're already gathering the data. All right, in your mind you are already gathering data. All right, and in your mind too you are trying to make some inferences from that particular data. By inference I mean you're trying to make sense, or what does this mean? Does this mean that has been an increase in price? Can you hear me now? Because it seems like you're with us. Can you
Yes,
hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear
All
me?
right, so yes, I can hear you. So I'll take a break shortly and you can then do your
I can hear you.
introduction. All right, fantastic.
Okay.
I'll take a break shortly. Then you can do your introduction. We decided to move ahead without waiting, but we are discussing data analysis at the moment. So when you go to the
All right.
market, you can stop the camera for now so you don't get frozen up again. We know how the network sometimes can be. All right,
All right.
thank you. So when you go to the market again, as I said, you are fetching data, but sometimes when you're in the market, you are not writing that data down somewhere. Sometimes you write it, sometimes you are not capturing it anywhere. Okay, your mind is taking note of that data. All right, and um, from that you are making some decisions based off that data. What you have just done right there is what we call data analysis. You have gathered data, you've transformed it into something that makes sense. You are probably transforming now, you are collating it, you are comparing price of milk to the price of milk. You're not comparing milk with price of some other product. You are comparing like for like, all right, which is some of the things you also do when it comes to actual data analysis with data that has been captured into a system. All right. At the end of all of that process, you say, oh, I like the fact that that woman's shop was clean, everything there looks all right, and so on and so forth. All of those things are data points which you have gathered over the course of sometimes conversations or asking people and trying to know what the different prices of goods are in the market. All right. That's right there is you collecting data. Okay, but before I proceed, let me allow Kingsley to then do his introduction, talk about himself briefly, then we can then go further into the data analysis as a concept. Kingsley, please, over to you now.
All right, thank you very much, Manu. Sincere apologies for the network. I hope you can hear me now.
Loud and clear.
All right, thank you. So, like he rightly said, my name is Kingsley, and I'm a sales data analyst. I work with a certain group of company, and I've been doing data analysis for quite a while now. I've used certain softwares like Microsoft Excel and Power BI for analytics. All right, and we've we we've been passionate about this. I can say it's a family thing, like it runs in the family. We the love for numbers and sharing knowledge is one thing um, that's very common amongst us, and that's why we have this today. And in this section that we're going to be having in the next few days or weeks, I'll be very glad to share as much knowledge as I can, and Emmanuel will be doing likewise. And I just hope that at the end of this section, um, will will be better than where we let off from, and we'll be glad to say that we really had this section. And I know we will not just end here. This will just be the beginning of uh, um, better things that we'll be able to do in the future. And I just want you to open your mind. This is not something difficult. We're going to be as explicit as possible, ask questions where necessary, and we'll be very glad to answer them. All right, so that's my brief introduction. I won't want to take us further back from where we've let off from. I see that we've already started discussing what data analysis is about, so I don't want to spend too much time on introduction, and that's why I had to make it very.
Okay. Can you please turn off your video? It seems to be dragging your network.
You said?
Can you please turn off your video? It seems to be dragging your network. So
All right,
the
so I will do that right about now, so that I
thank
hope that will
you.
make it clearer.
All
Okay,
right,
thank you
thank
very
you
much
very much,
for
Kingsley,
the
for that.
opportunity.
Thank you for that, Kingsley. So Adeola, can you do us the honors then and just introduce yourself so we could know you better?
Okay. So my name is Adeola Soyaolu. I'm a customer success manager. I've been doing customer service, customer success, customer experience, merchant services for about 8 to 9 years now. Um, I'm interested in data analysis because I want to be able to um, understand my customers' behavior, their buying behavior, their their reaction to price change, their reaction to any kind of slight change in the company product or whatnot. I just want to basically be able to analyze my customers, identify their personas, and be able to analyze their behaviors to any slight change in the product or service or price.
All right,
All right.
that's a very interesting project you have on your hand, Adeola, I must tell you.
Uh-huh.
Very
Very well.
interesting.
But then I must say that she must be ready to gather a lot of data to be able to analyze this.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes.
a lot
All
of
right.
data gathering.
Okay. So I don't know why I'm smiling, right? When you mentioned some of the things you are looking to achieve when it comes to data
Just
analytics,
what
right?
I'm doing.
You
Work
say
of
what?
today. So that is basically because what I do now is customer service. As
I
I go
understand
more data analysis, I just might switch careers.
I
Hmm.
understand that. It's possible, very possible, right? And um, was what was I trying to say? Okay, for me, for instance, I don't think I was called out to be a data analyst. I'm saying that so that it can be also it can also be on record. But I got my first job opportunity where my role then was to analyze data. And as I said earlier, for me, when it comes to anything that has to do with IT and all these IT related things, I tend to have a bit of interest. And that was my own launch in terms of data analytics. And over the course of these years, touched a bit on sales, touched a bit of marketing, touched a bit of customer experience that you talk about. Talked a bit about HR, talked a bit about transportation. These are different sectors or areas I have had to do data analytics. And truth be told, it's the same concept. You just need to understand the language of different domain. So we'll try to make sure we can speak the general concept so you can understand it. We'll also try to tailor your class to make sure we can speak to um, your own area, which at this point in time is what is in front of you. Okay, so we won't what's the word now? We won't lock it down to a particular area alone. We'll talk about data analytics in general, talk about data analytics as a concept, talk about data analytics as a part. All right. Then we'll also show you how you can apply that to your current field. And we hope that as you're getting this knowledge on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, sorry, not daily, on a weekly basis, you are able to now put that knowledge into your own area and make sense of data. For me, that will be my utmost joy and a goal for me to achieve together with you on this session. Okay. Um, Back to the concept of data analysis, right? Um, just even within the name of data analysis and data analytics, all right? Because sometimes there are so many things when it comes. A lot of people are interested in data right now. That there's so much going on. There are so many people that are suddenly becoming pros on their own, and they can tell you somebody comes up with a new concept tomorrow, and or just comes up with something that is confusing to himself or herself. And sometimes this could be confusing to other people. We'll try to make sure you are not confused about this concept. Data analysis, data analytics are of the same father, all right? They are from the same blood. They are almost, it's just like one came before the other. Like okay, you're Yoruba and there's Tai and there's Kehinde, all right? Um, Somebody came first, then the other one comes next, all right? So data analysis, which as I explained to you earlier, is that process where you are able to gather data and so on and so forth, is that's the analysis, all right? That's what you are doing at the point of analysis. You are gathering the data, you are manipulating that data, you are examining that data just to get to the point of insight, all right? Now, what you now do with analytics is also on the same path. Don't get it confused. They are the same thing. So if you are using them interchangeably, I don't think you are wrong. Just for the English now. Analytics itself now is now taking that data that you have analyzed, right, and working on it to make meaningful and useful business
The line is
decisions.
breaking. You mentioned something. Okay, now I can see.
Take that again.
You mentioned that changeably.
I didn't
Data
get that.
analytics and some. You mentioned data
Okay,
analytics and something.
data analysis and data analytics. All right, they are of the
Network is
same
not
parent. They
okay.
are. It's just like again a
Analysis
tool.
and analytics. Okay.
Sorry, take that again.
I can hear you now.
All right, I was talking
Network is
about.
creating a bit of delay, but I can hear you now.
All right, fantastic. So I was talking about data analysis and data analytics. All right, and I said that they are of the same lineage. All right. I'm using the word of, they're like twins. One comes just before the other. All right. Um, your analysis in this case is the process where you're able to get that data, put it together, and make it ready for analytics. And yes, then the analytics part is now that taking the analyzed data that you have done worked on and now use that to make business decision. That is where analytics comes in. So, but my definition based on what you can see on my screen is the process of making sense of related or non-related materials. And these materials now could be, they're called data points or data set, depending on who you speak to. But data really, in order to gain meaningful and actionable insight and answer questions. For instance, how much is the price of milk in the market today? Based on the fact that you went to the market today and you had asked one, two, three persons, you can give me a fair answer to that question. Okay, I can then use that answer to make a business decision. Okay, now the difference between the way the example I gave earlier about you shopping and gathering data and how you'd use it in the professional environment is that every data that is gathered in a professional environment, okay, is expected to be stored. They're supposed to have it not written down, captured somewhere using a system, usually an electronic system, to store that data for analytics. Okay. Now, in your mind right now, you utilize your mind to say the price from ERBC is this, the price from Iarisika is this, the price from Malam Sule is this. That is your mind keeping it all together in your mind. But when it comes to the official environment or the professional environment, the expectation is you probably now implement some tools, okay, to now capture that data and make it ready for analytics, and then use some tools again to analyze that data. But I'll hold my breath at this point and I'll allow Kingsley to share what he has for us as regards to data analysis. Kingsley, can we hear from you now?
All right, thank you very much, Manu. Um, so taking it up from me now, you Emmanuel has rightly explained what data analysis and data analytics is about. To recap on that, he talked about um, the all the process you go through, you know, ex, breaking down um, breaking down that large chunk of data that you have. That's the other process is the data analysis. Now, when you now begin to take what you've analyzed and now beginning to use it to make business decisions and then make some right insight, like giving some right insights to take useful decisions, useful business decisions, then that's where the analytics come in. All right. So I'm also going to steal one or two things he said from there, that there are two brothers from the same parent. Um, one just happens to come before the other. All right. So that's just a recap on what he just said. Okay. So in the light of that, I'll just say again that data analysis is a process. I just needed to understand that it is a process. All right. And this process um, flows from, first of all, identifying, all right, cleaning, transforming, modeling data. When you were explaining what you understood from data analysis before, you mentioned something like information. All right, I quickly want to correct that impression that information should rather be the end product of your analyzed data. All right, it should be like the end product. Okay, so now identifying, cleaning, transforming, and modeling data to discover meaningful and useful information. Okay, so just like you've gone to the market to pick sample of prices of milk, like you just said. Now you come back home, then plot this on the chart and begin to say, okay, you're comparing the the prices of this a milk A to milk B to milk C, like that, and then you who is a consumer can even say by yourself which of this, or if you happen to be a business person, you can begin to look at the trend of all this variety of milk you have in your shop, and how how are they playing alongside each other. Is it how quick does this one go out? How quick do you turn over on a particular kind of milk compared to the other one? Okay, so um this is all data analysis is about. Okay, um please don't feel free to always call me back if you need further clarification. Okay, so I'll just go on like this. So as the world becomes more data driven, storytelling through data analysis is becoming a vital component. Okay, so um this your whole data analytics process, okay, is supposed to be like you telling a story, all right? Like you're telling a story, or you're giving a breakdown of a trend. Okay, just like somebody narrating a movie which he just watched. Okay, when the person is narrating, the person will go through saying what he like, giving details of how this happened, how that happened. This person said this to this person, and this and that. And at the end of the day, the person comes up with one thing and says, bottom line of the whole story is that this movie was interesting, or this movie was boring. Okay, so the same thing in data analytics. After um in the process of making your charts and making your models and all of that stuff, you the bottom at the end of the day, you're always coming back to a bottom line, and the bottom line tells a summary of the whole drama that all happened. All right, everything you studied will now come down to that thin line at the end of the day. All right, so um every business, be it small, medium scale businesses, even large businesses, even the down to the woman who sells retail shops down the road. All of these people do a little bit of data analysis from time to time, and that is why even the malam that who owns a kiosk down your road today, you go to meet him. Do you have this biscuit? He will tell you no, and your question will be like, why don't you have it? And he will tell you, they move. How does he know they move? Because he has studied the way the rate. He probably has bought it before, all right, and he has bought this biscuit, he has bought this other biscuit, and he has seen that he has done a turnover of this other biscuit like 3 times, and this other one is still left in the store. And based on that, the man who did not even go to school knows by himself that the next time he's going to the market, he should restock more of this other one that he keeps having a turnover, no matter how little the profit is on it. He should keep turning this one over and over again, compared to this one that has stood in the store for quite a while. And even if the profit margin is even going to be higher, but he knows that he should do this. Now, this is common sense coming to play. All right. So at every the only thing the malam has not done is to go to his computer and enter this on a spreadsheet and begin to analyze. All right. He didn't take a biro and paper to do this, but his common sense was able to tell him based on the actual activities that have played out. Do you understand? So all of this is what is entailed in data analysis. All right. So, but when coming to big, large businesses like the one your customers, like you rightly said, the customers base you attend to or you service, I'm very sure they're not one or they're not 50. They're probably quite very many. All right. So in such a case, where you're now beginning to have a very broad and large um, number of variables of people you are attending to, or you want to look at, or you want to analyze, then there is a need to make use of some special purpose softwares. Okay, special purpose softwares like the one looking at you right now. The one we're going to be discussing in this section. We're going to be discussing a little bit of Excel. We're also going to be discussing a little bit of Power BI and whichever one that we eventually dive into. But we're going to be making use of this to talk about data analysis and how it works. All right. So to analyze data, there are some core components of analytics that we'll be looking at. Core components of analytics, talking about descriptive analytics, diagnostic analytics, predictive analysis, prescriptive analytics, and then cognitive analytics. There are about five of them. Emmanuel will be taking this over from here now to talk about these five.
All right, thank you very much, Kingsley, for that. Adeola, please confirm you can still hear me and you got what he said so far. Hello, Adeola. Okay. Hi, Adeola, if you're speaking, you're muted. Hope you're still with us. Hi, Adeola. Okay.
Your mic is mute. You may want to unmute your mic. Perhaps you speak it.
All right, let me try to get that back on the call. Let me be sure what's going on. Hold on, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So I think my next for a bit, but I'm back in now.
Oh, so did you hear me all the while?
Yes, I heard when we were talking about all the tools that we'll be delving into. I mean,
Okay.
bits from Excel to Power BI, Tableau, and the rest.
All right. Beautiful.
All right, thank you very much, Adela, and welcome back. Yeah, the network issue. I think we're all we're all used to it. Welcome back. Can you hear me now?
Like, I it's that yes, I can.
All right, so I'll just quickly expand on something that Kingsley talked about earlier when he was talking about where the tools start coming in. Okay, but if you can still see if you can see my slide at the moment, these are some of the examples of um, tools that are utilized for data analytics. But something that comes to mind when I was putting up my slide, and I I actually asked myself, we talk about different tools, we talk about Excel, we talk about Power BI, we talk about all these fantastic tools, but we tend to ignore something that is almost always with us, which is in this case our mind. And I'll start with that.
Exactly.
Our
Exactly.
mind, when it comes to data analytics, they do these functions every single day. Like the example we talked about earlier about going to the market, or the example we talked about a particular um, friend of ours that is down the street that is selling biscuits. So even for someone that is selling biscuits, for instance, he just tells you, "Okay, this biscuit you want me to you say you want buy, we no get them again. No, why? Okay, they move market. How does he know that? He has gone to the market before. He bought that biscuit at first. He didn't sell it out till like 1 month later, then or 2 weeks later. Bought a different other biscuit. He went to the market. He got that one. People bought it out that same day or the next day. He went again to the market. They bought it out within in record time. His next thing he told himself, there's really no need for me to go and get this other biscuit that is taking some time. Let me get this one that people are buying the most. Do you get? So our minds do this job already. Do you understand? So our minds do this job of collecting data, analyzing it. But when you now start talking about big data or data that starts going beyond um, price of Maggi or price of biscuit or price of this or price of one book or the other one, start talking about, as I said, in your own case, customer behavior. If you want to analyze, if a human being by design is already complex, okay? So to now start analyzing a human behavior, even one human being, if you try to understand a full human being with your mind, yes, you might not go insane. Your mind might be able to do a lot of tricks on you, even for just one human being. Now imagine having 10 human beings, talking about 100 human beings, in this case, customers. All right. You have one customer, he bought today, did not buy tomorrow. You're asking yourself, why? Why? What happened here? This what happened there? What happened there? Then he comes up again tomorrow, next day, he buys again. You're wondering, oh, that is good. He's back again. Then he comes out and that time, he doesn't buy. What's going on here? You're not able to understand the pattern of one human being. Talk more when you now start talking about two persons, three customers, 100 customers, 1,000 customers. Now, using your mind to do that job would be a laborious task. Sometimes you might leave some things in the crack there. You might leave some things along the wayside, which you should have considered. Something as simple as even the color of a cloth. If you are shopping online, for instance, the color of a cloth could mean a whole lot. It could mean a whole lot when it comes to people buying. You displayed, you have customers buying from you. I don't know what kind of products you sell or you at your company, but you have customers buying a set of products, but your product doesn't have a particular size. Let's say you're selling wares and you're selling shoes, and your product doesn't have a particular size. And you look at the people that are coming to your website. For instance, let's assume you're running an online store. You look at people that are coming to your website, they have a particular category, a particular class. What am I doing at this point? I'm already looking into the data. But what would have been is they are not buying. The extra large is not selling, or the small size is not selling. Why? And those are the two products we have. Okay, if they're not buying, they're not buying. People just don't like the clothes. It's not that they don't like the clothes. They probably love the design, but they don't have the size they're looking for. They cannot tell you that one. You're supposed to, as an analyst, go through all of that pattern and say, oh, this could probably be why people are not buying. Oh, the kind of people that are coming to my website are this set of persons. All right. They are within this category. So if you look at what we are displaying, does it match their profile and so on and so forth? All of these come into data analytics when you want to talk about customer behavior. So may I ask, Adeola, based on two things really, based on what we discussed so far, do you see an application of data analytics in where you come in? Then number two would be, what kind of business do you currently function in as a customer experience lead? Is it a physical or online business? So I can also help with examples that are tailored to that.
Okay, yes, um I see the use of data analytics in what I do now. And when we talk about physical or online business, I think it's a bit of both. So I'll be more
Okay,
interested in both as well.
fantastic.
Um,
Fantastic
um,
and good enough. Good enough. I would say. Okay, are you saying something?
no, go on,
Oh,
please. Go on, please.
okay, good enough. Myself here and even my partner here, my brother, whichever one you feel comfortable with. We have the experience in these two spaces. So I have a background in e-commerce, which is where, of course, I met the person who referred you, and I have a background in running a physical store, and how data has even helped us impact progress when it comes to that. Okay, so I hope some of the examples we would give or some of the lessons you'll be learning from us would actually also help you, and hopefully by the time we now go into analytics, maybe when it comes to some projects, I mean, we're more than happy to help you with some projects. The way I love to do my own training, I don't take over your project and do it for you. No, I rather guide you and say, hey, look at this particular place, consider this, work on this. This is what I'm thinking about. This is how you're thinking. Let's come together. Let's meet somewhere and we can deliver on your analytics project when it comes to data analytics. Now, a further question to that then, what tools does your business use today, both for the online store and the physical? What tools do you use today that has some data on it, or that is used in gathering data? What kind of tools do you utilize today? Not for your analysis now, but what do you use in gathering the data at least for a start?
So there's a dashboard,
Okay.
and that dashboard is what captures orders, online orders from customers to suppliers, so to speak.
Okay.
And I can easily go on there and download orders that are coming for the week
Yeah.
or for
Yeah.
months or for the day. I see the status, how it's been transitioned from placement of order to confirmation of the order to shipment of the order.
Yes. Okay. So you
And
have a, go ahead. You seem like you broke up a little there. You have a single dashboard where you go and fetch data today, correct?
can you hear me better?
I can hear you now.
Hello?
I can hear
Yes,
you
so
now.
yes, I have a single dashboard where yes, I can fetch data. So it shows me in real time customers that have transacted or that have placed orders today, the status of the order. Once the order is confirmed by the wholesaler as well, I can see that it has moved from pending to confirmed. Once the order has been shipped by the wholesaler, they need to come back to the system to update the status. I'm sure you're aware of this in online
Yes, yes,
marketplace. To
yes.
confirm that the order has been shipped, and I can see that that has been confirmed. So I can see the orders as they are placed. I can see the status they are in per time.
Okay. Okay, fantastic. Now, thank you very much for that answer. Then, so a question then I have to ask, because I'm quite interested in the tool that is behind that. Because as an analyst, you said something earlier, which is common. Again, I'm not taking it out on you. You should just relax. It's common to hear that there is a dashboard somewhere. There is this report somewhere. As an analyst, your job or your role or for what you are looking to achieve, you need to go beyond the dashboard. Okay, you need to go behind and see where is this data? What is that data in its raw form? Okay, before you have a dashboard, the dashboard is a processed data, it's processed information. All right, or it's processed data that is giving you information. It's telling you how many orders you have today. Fantastic. Before we got to the point of how many orders we have today, there was an order placed somewhere. There was somebody that captured the information of the person that placed the order. There was somebody that captured the price of what the person bought. There's either a system or somebody doing it manually that captured how many items the person bought, and so on and so forth. That is what makes up the order. Okay, that's what makes up an order. Before you now see it on your dashboard and say, oh, that is one order, there's some data that has been captured behind the scenes to say this order has been placed. So when you see a number on the screen, before you talk about a number showing up, that is the summarized value. What we are trying to take you through in this course is going to be how can you go from the raw data itself to the summarized value. So you're not working with already generated reports. It's not wrong to work with already generated reports, but I'm trying to also help you understand that if you want to be a grounded analyst, you have to go beyond the processed information. So do you know the names of some of the tools? For instance, in e-commerce space, we use Google Analytics to gather web traffic. And I remember then we use some databases to gather data onto our system. So the question I'm asking now is, do you know the tools that are utilized by your business? Maybe a handheld device that is used in capturing this data, or what kind of tools can you point to? Of course, you talk about downloading data to Excel, which is good, and that's why we can mark Excel as a tool. What other tools are used? What tools is even used for the dashboard today?
I don't know what tool is being used for the dashboard
Okay.
today as we speak
Okay.
now. I know there
Okay.
is an app where the order is placed and then it
Okay.
comes to the dashboard when it is done. But the
Okay.
tool that sort of syncs that or that gathers that information, or that
Yes.
is like the intermediary between the app and the dashboard that says, "Oh, dashboard, an order has been placed." I think that's what you're
Yes.
asking, right?
Go ahead. I'm following you. Following you. Go ahead.
I don't know. I don't know what that tool is. So I
Okay,
have another
fantastic.
project that I work on that is majorly online,
Okay.
and what we use there is Metabase that
Okay.
captures all the transactions of the businesses on there,
Yes.
what they do per time in terms of their
Yeah.
payouts, in terms of their collections.
Okay.
But
Now
for
the
this
reason.
e-commerce, I
Okay.
don't
Go
know.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I said for this e-commerce, I don't know. I don't know the tool that they use.
All right. Fantastic. It's fine. It's fine. So now let me quickly take you through that process. Okay. Because you already mentioned an app. I was very keen on knowing how data comes in. All right. Because as an analyst, there is a process you need to follow. Remember, we talked about data analysis being a process. Okay. There is a process you need to follow. You might be the one in charge of it, you might not. In some established organizations like the e-commerce company I worked, I was not in charge of gathering data or collecting data. All right. You just mentioned right now that your business has an app. That app is already a tool that is used in gathering data. Okay. But the very first step as an analyst is what we call identification. I'll soon come to the different concept that Kingsley said I should talk about. But the very first step for you is identification. Where does
What?
this fit?
What? Sorry. Network is really bad today. You said there's something called APM or API.
Okay, you have an API, yes. Okay.
No. You mentioned something I
Okay, no,
didn't
no.
hear.
You said you have an app. You said you have an app, not an API.
Yes, we
Yes.
have a mobile app.
Okay. So that app, for instance, is a tool. So I want you to identify that as one of the tools for your
One of the tools.
um
Okay.
yes. Do you understand? Because
Okay.
the very first step in a successful data analytics job or role or whatever it is you need to do with data analytics is going to be identifying where is this data coming from. Do you understand? In this case, what tools are generating this data? Is it somebody that is manually capturing the data? All right. I will speak about the particular sales business that I'm aware of. They have salespeople that are on the field. All right. They gave the salespersons an application to utilize. The salespersons go from different stores to get information, and they capture that information onto that handheld device. When they capture that data into a handheld device, it sends that information backwards to a database. As an analyst, you need to understand that data is stored somewhere. When the data is captured, it is always stored somewhere. Okay, and that is usually in a database. Okay, so when you hear something called a database, it's basically a system, a tool that is used for storing or housing data in an electronic format. Okay, so I'm talking about the tools now. So when you hear about them, you're not surprised, because learning some of these tools again are a different concept on their own. For instance, if you want to talk about Google Analytics is a tool for web traffic. That's for capturing people that come to your website, but it has its own cost, Google Analytics on its own. Okay, if you talk about an SQL is a language, right? But there's a database type called SQL DB. Right? The SQL DB is the short form for database. An SQL database, right, is used to capture data is used to capture usually for transactional data and relational data. I'll come back to that concept in a bit. And when this data is captured, some persons study or learn about these tools or this language. Which time around they have to understand what SQL is about. So in case you start hearing some of these things flying around, don't be shocked. Don't be surprised. They are just different tools with their own learning curve that as an analyst, it shouldn't take you long to really to go through it. But if you understand this core concept, it's not an issue for you. Now, after identifying, in this case, you're identifying where is your data coming from? How is your data even coming in? What kind of data am I fetching? What kind of data am I getting? All right. Then you collect this data as an analyst. Now, your organization has an application that is already collecting this data, but you need to identify it. That's that part I needed. I can't take that one away from you. You need to identify it, but your organization is already collecting data using that mobile application and storing it somewhere. So after identifying, you collect the data. All right. Then after collecting data, you then clean. Clean data in this case is a concept we call it's called data cleansing. All right, or sometimes transformation, if you will. There are two different concepts, but they are also about the same part. Data cleansing and transformation is taking that data. Sorry, cleansing now. Data cleansing is taking that data, removing errors where necessary. For instance, somebody didn't capture date the way it's meant to be captured. I don't know if you have seen data in that format before, whereby date is meant to be captured as year, month, and day. Then somebody is capturing it as day, month, and year. That cleaning needs to come in. Okay, you need to capture your data in a particular format. You do all of those cleansing. Where you have empty values, what should be there? You fill all of those places up. That's what we call data cleaning. All right. Then after cleaning, you then analyze. There are different tools along this path, and I'm trying to help you understand. So it's just sometimes not just one tool. You can use different tools to do each of these processes. For instance, after identifying is for you to do. Then you can then use a tool like Excel. Let me talk about the one that I know you do today. You go to your dashboard. You say, "Oh, there's data here." You go to the dashboard. You download the data into Excel. That is you collecting the data. All right, then you clean the data. I don't know how your data cleaning process goes today, but talking about data cleaning, you change column names, do whatever you need to do, make it ready for your analytics. Then you now go into what we call analyzing. What does this data imply? How many do we have here? What does this mean? And so on and so forth. That's you analyzing. When you are done with analyzing, then you interpret your results. Those are the steps you follow as an analyst. You identify, you collect the data, you clean it up, then you analyze it. After analyzing, the goal, which is what Kingsley has shared earlier, is to now interpret this. I hope that's clear, Adeola. Hope that's clear. Identify, collect, clean, analyze, then you interpret. Is that clear?
Yes.
Now, I just want to ask a question. I want to bring it home for you. Based on what you do today, can you tell me which of these steps you followed already? Which ones don't you do? Which ones do you do already? Identify, collect, clean, analyze, interpret. Which one do you do today? Which one don't you do? Based on my explanation.
I identify, I collect, I don't clean per se.
Okay.
I think I try to analyze. By analysis, I just basically mean understanding how many orders are in which status per time,
Yes.
and
Yes.
for what date, and for which particular supplier, so we can ensure that the ones that are being delayed are actioned in time.
Correct.
I think that those are the major things.
All right. So thank you very much for that. So yeah, you basically do about 4 steps there, no 3. Okay, you do 3 out of the 6, which is fine. It's fine. That is normal. This is expected. You identify, you collect, then you analyze. Straightforward. Not an issue. Now, if you are taking it a step further, really, yes, your role at the moment might not permit you to do all of those analytics, all of the steps, but you need to understand that before that data came onto that dashboard, somebody had collected that data somewhere into a database, which of course they probably have not granted you access to. Then clean it up, right? And after cleaning, they're now doing their analysis before making it available to a dashboard. Then you now go to the dashboard to fetch data that has already been cleaned. So sometimes you might not need to clean such kind of data because you're already fetching what we call a report. Okay, so when you're done with all of these things and you analyze, you make it available in form of a report or your dashboard. Your dashboard in this case is where you are going to fetch your data. That data is already complete, but that's fine. I just wanted to bring it home for you. Now let's go into why Kingsley handed over to me. He said I should talk about I'll call them. I'm trying to find the right way to explain it. Maybe the different types of data analytics. Yes, let's call them the different types or different categories of data analytics. All right. So please follow me here because at the end of this, I would like us to identify which ones you do today and which ones don't you do and which ones would you love to start doing. Okay. Now, the very first one on top of my list is descriptive. Okay. Descriptive analytics is a type of analytics that helps you answer questions about what has happened. You said a good example earlier. How many orders are in a particular status? Okay, that's right there is descriptive. You have 10 orders, or we had 10 orders yesterday. We had 20 orders yesterday. Okay, that is purely descriptive. And you're always studying that data, or you're basically analyzing or putting out this analytics based on historical data. Okay, so once you are analyzing historical data, you are most likely working on or what we call a descriptive analytics. All right, so you are basically bringing all historical data, bringing it all together, piecing it together, and then making sense of it. That is descriptive. Now, taking it a step further, all right, you now talk about diagnostics. But before I go into diagnostics, all right, when you talk about, have you heard of the word called KPIs before? Adeola, have you heard of KPIs?
Sorry, have I heard of what?
KPIs. KPIs.
KPIs, yes,
Yes.
key
Of
performance
course. Of course.
indicators.
You can't be in a business environment and not hear that thrown around everywhere. Okay. So what's the KPI really? It's a very big term for something very simple. It says what's the key performance indicator. KPI in full means key performance indicator. All right. And what is the key performance indicator? At the moment, you said you are looking at orders or number of customers. That right there is a key performance indicator. It means if this does not go right, if this indicator does not go right or in the way we want it to, we might actually run out of business. That's why it's called a key performance indicator. A lot of things happen. For instance, you can have 5 people coming to the office out of 50 people in the organization. That might not be a key performance indicator, because even if 5 people did not come into, if 5 people came into the office and the other 45 are working from home, the business might still succeed. So it might not be a key performance indicator. But in a case whereby you have 5 orders in a day when you're supposed to have 50, some business managers start scrambling. I'm like, what's going on here? That's because they know that if the orders are not coming in, there is going to be a little problem ahead of them. That's a key performance indicator. It basically helps you track, are we succeeding or are we failing? And different businesses have different key performance indicator. Not just businesses, is usually cascades downwards. Different businesses have their key performance indicators. Then these key performance indicators start cascading downwards into the different units in the organization. For instance, as a customer service person, all right, how happy are your customers is a key performance indicator every day. Because no matter how much you love to sell, if your customers, for any reason, if the satisfaction level of your customers is dropping, you have something, you're already sowing a seed that you don't want to reap, because it's just a matter of time. These customers stop buying from you completely and you're out of business. Okay? You want to maybe measure what you call a CSAT score, your customer satisfaction score. All right. You want to measure that against what you call your net promoter score. Those are some other indicators that you might look at as a customer experience person. You also want to see, wait, beyond all these other things that customers are feeling like, the main thing I'm supposed to deliver to my customer, they have placed an order. Have they gotten it? Did they get it in time? I don't know if in time is part of what you people promise to your customers. Did they get it on time? That could be a key performance indicator. Did you promise 2 days and you delivered it in 3 days? It's a key performance indicator as a customer experience person to tell the business, hello, we promised 2 days. We need to keep to that 2 days. And if we cannot achieve it, can we reinform the customer that manage their expectation to tell them that it's going to be 3 days going forward? I'll speak from an e-commerce point of view. I know then once customers place an order, their hopes are not high. They are hoping that you deliver. Okay? So fulfillment of that order becomes a key performance indicator for that business. Now, that can be measured by different business units. For instance, your own might be to make sure that customers are happy, but your salesperson is not just interested in the customers being happy. Sometimes they're not even bothered about customers being happy, though we know that they go hand in hand. But he's more interested in customers buying more. So his own key performance indicator might be sales revenue. How many new customers are we getting? And all of these things you can start identifying from your descriptive analytics. Now let's go to diagnostics, right? Diagnostics, just as the word implies, is why did this happen? I'll give you a very typical instance. I don't know how your business runs, but I'll speak from a general concept of e-commerce from the way I see it. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you have some of your best sales days, and it switches different days for different periods for whatever reason. A day you put up in a day where you put up a coupon, for instance, you see people trooping to your website to buy like as if they never saw your website before. No, it's because you have something bringing them there. Then on Saturday and Sunday, for some reason, it drops. The sales drops. The question you're not asking yourself is, why did this happen? Yes, sales has dropped. We know sales dropped. Why did it happen? We made 10 million on Tuesday. We made 10 million on Wednesday. We made 11 million on Thursday. We made 12 million on Friday. Then on Saturday, we made 5. On Sunday, we made 2 million. Why did this drop? Now, the question you start asking yourself as an analyst is, could it be because we didn't have more people come to our website? Could it be because the products we have are sold out over the weekend? So maybe you had 500 people visit your website on Friday when you sold 12 million. You have another 500 people visiting your site on Saturday, and you still did not make 12 million. What exactly are they looking for that they did not get? You start going into what we call the diagnostics analytics. Why? You're basically asking the question why. I learned something during my time as an analyst and working with what's it called? Business heads. The answer they always need is, we made 10 million. The next thing that's always coming out of bosses' mouth is why. They don't tell you that directly. The question is usually phrased in different ways, but you already know as an analyst, you need to be able to answer that question of why. What is the cause? We have in the business where I worked at some point, we were able to achieve 40% month-on-month growth in a particular period. And for those in e-commerce, you can tell 40% is not a joke at all. 40% increase in sales is not a joke at all. It's huge. The question we start asking ourselves is, why did we make 40% growth this period? What can we do to make it again? That is what we were studying as analysts then. And we were able to apply the concept again. And we made another 40% growth. So as an analyst, you can see my customers are not happy. Or, sorry, not my customers are not happy. I said that my customer satisfaction, I'm calling this customer is grumbling. What's going on? You go and look at your historical data and you answer the question, oh, we promised this customer to deliver their birthday gift on XYZ day, and the birthday had passed before we delivered it, and they expect them to be happy. Diagnostic analytics. Okay? Now, sometimes you also have some things just jump up. For instance, your site normally gets 500 people coming to the website, then suddenly you see 5,000 people, you be like, whoa, what's going on here? If you just take it to be a normal thing, then you're not doing your job as an analyst. You need to be able to answer the question of that anomaly. That's what we call an anomaly in data analytics. Why did this suddenly jump up? Or why did this suddenly go down? I mentioned this to you when we were having our conversation before class. It goes beyond your gut feelings. Data analysis goes beyond your gut feelings. Even if your gut is telling you that this is why, you need to be able to answer that question from a data point of view. Is your data backing up your gut? Or better still, can you keep your gut aside and now tell what is data saying? I hope we're together, Adeola. Hope it's making sense.
Yes, it is.
All right. Now we go a step further to another type of analytics. When you have now understood why, okay, and I love this part. This is one that actually I love doing, honestly. I love doing this part. Actually, the next two actually are the ones I love doing. It's called predictive analytics. Predictive. Now, after I left the e-commerce industry, I went into a transport business where I had to serve as the MIS guy there, Management Information Systems Analyst. And though we didn't have all tools, but we had some tools on ground, and I was able to utilize that. We could always tell, that's something I used to do for the business and which I loved a lot. They have executive meetings at the middle of every month and at the end of every month. And at the middle of every month, I usually give them what we call, this is what your potential revenue for this month would be, give or take. Based on this trend that you are following, right? This is what your potential revenue. Someone will be like, is that juju? It's not juju, sorry. It's not jazz. Okay, it's data. Sorry, I have to put that out there. Okay. Can you do it? Yes, you can. You just need to understand your data. This is what historical is telling me. This is why it happened. Then, based on this and this is likely what's going to happen this period. You predict. You answer a question of what will likely happen. Because the thing about businesses is, again, the money industry. They want to be able to. They need to have that comfort that this is what will happen in tomorrow. Even though you agree with me that as human beings, I don't know if you're a believer as well, but even me, I'm a believer, I'm a Christian. So we usually tell ourselves is by God's grace that something is going to happen. Okay. And we have to wait for that thing to happen based on God's willing. Okay. But from the money man's point of view, as much as he wants to be a believer, he also wants to know that his money is safe. He wants to be sure that he's going to wake up tomorrow and he's going to be able to reap his benefit of that money. Predictive analytics is going to tell you today we have 100 customers. Last month we had 50. So by the end of this year, we should be having about XYZ number of customers and this number of sales. They want to know that. Even though in the end you might not hit those numbers or you might surpass them, that it's almost impossible for you to always get exact numbers when you predict, but you're able to tell a best case scenario, this is what is going to happen. Okay. Now you could do this one using your own mind and studying this data, taking your time to juice out this insight from the data. This is what is causing this to happen. For instance, if you have a holiday around the corner, I mean, November is around the corner here. For those in e-commerce, you know what this period means. November, December. If you are not aware of it, November, December is another very interesting period for e-commerce by design. It's holidays are around here, and there's a lot of shopping done in this period. So if you are just the regular analyst person or you're not even looking to your numbers, you just see numbers go up. You'll be wondering, what's going on there? It's the season. It's the season. Yes, it's the season, but why? Why is it happening? Why did we sell more last year? And can we introduce those things again this year? That's you going into your diagnostics. Then based on these numbers, based on the number of people that are visiting my website this period, I predict that we're likely going to make XYZ number by the end of this period. Business heads love to hear these numbers. But you have to also tread with this carefully because you don't want to just give based on gut. And again, I'm not saying that as an analyst you are 100% accurate all the time. You're supposed to make, that's why I said it has to be by data. You're supposed to make data-driven recommendations or predictions. Okay. Now there are some tools you can implement, which we call machine learning, or tools that can now start taking taking some things into consideration. Right. For instance, if you have a best-selling product on your website throughout the year, and at this period in time you don't have that best-selling product on your website, how do you expect to make that money? Okay. If you have a machine learning tool implemented on top of your data, it's going to pick it out and say, based on this, if you don't have this product in sales, you're likely not going to make the money that you're expecting. So as an analyst, you should be able to tell some of those things. Okay. So, but sometimes what you implement are statistical learn. But again, you can always learn all of that as you go along. But this is what you can do as an analyst. Sometimes analysts spend their time a lot in the very first stage of identifying and collecting data and cleaning data, that they don't go into this aspect. This is a very interesting aspect of data analytics, where you start juicing insights and making predictions. Okay. But if you spend all your time in gathering data and cleaning data, then you are not able to even start giving your business a good insight into the data that has been gathered. So I will put that in front of you. Prepare your mind to make sure you don't spend time on gathering of data alone and cleaning data, because that is a lot of work. So also is you generating insight, but the more interesting part will be on the you generating insight. Okay. Now the next one is what we call prescriptive. Just like you go to your doctor today and you tell your doctor, this is what is going on with me. He asks you of some questions. Is basically running through maybe family history and so on and so forth, and says, okay, I'm going to prescribe these drugs for you. Okay, I'm going to prescribe this drug for you. As an analyst, your role as an analyst after prediction will be to prescribe. What are we supposed to do? Okay, my tutor has come to join me. Can you say hello to everybody? Say hello, hello. All right. Prescriptive analytics helps you answer questions of which action should we take. So you have predicted that we are likely going to make these sales, but what do we need to do to achieve that goal? Do we need to get more of this product? Do we need to reduce our price? Do we need to have more customers come to the website? Do we need to introduce a coupon? That's where prescriptive analytics comes in. You have to now start advising the business, do this. Recommend to the business, do this. Let me be honest with you, it's not all your recommendations that will be taken into action. But as an analyst, your role is to make sure those prescriptions are made on time, so that the business can use that and make business-driven decisions. Okay? And make business-driven decisions. Now, let's talk about last but not the least, which in this case is what we call the cognitive analytics. Cognitive analytics attempts to draw inferences from existing data and patterns. What that is simply saying, how understanding the data that is available to derive conclusions based on existing knowledge base. So you can start telling a system to learn. Now, this is you passing all of this your information, all this insight, all those goals you're looking to achieve. If, for instance, you want to achieve a sales target, what do you need to have available? You need to have people, you need to have products, you need to have a good price, you need to have this, you need to have that. So your cognitive analytics starts learning all of that, right? It helps you to learn what might happen if certain circumstances change. So you are able to now apply that knowledge and say, okay, or you have a system that is doing that for you that says, if this changes, this is what's likely going to happen. If this happens, this is what will happen. Okay, and how you can handle this situation. That's how cognitive analytics basically bringing some of these things together, including the historical data analytics, which in this case is descriptive, diagnostics, predictive, and prescriptive. All of that forms, in this case, you're able to make inferences, usually from a machine, learning all of these things by itself. That's what cognitive analytics comes into play. For instance, one of the things that is going to drive the future of self-driving cars, which is something I'm really looking forward to having and using, is going to be this cognitive data analytics. Okay. For instance, if somebody just shows up in front of the road when you're driving a self-driving car, what should happen? Is able to recognize this particular incident and make an action immediately. That is the system that has learned how to do that. Okay. Once this happens, we need to do this. Once this happens, we need to do this. Once this happens, we need to do this. I hope that makes sense to you so far, Adeola. I hope this makes sense so far. Okay, now a quick question to you. Back to you now. I would like you to ask me any questions you have, though. But before you do so, let me ask a question. Based on what you do today in your domain, or what you have been able to do so far, which of these type of analytics have you employed? Descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, prescriptive, or cognitive? Which ones have you been able to implement or apply?
Right now, it has been um, uh,
Descriptive,
descriptive
diagnostic.
and no, not diagnostic.
Okay.
Uh,
Descriptive and which one? Predictive or prescriptive?
um, the one that tells us the status that we are in right now. that shows us where we are and what is happening.
Okay, okay.
That's
That should fall.
descriptive.
That's still descriptive. Yes, that's still
That's
descriptive because
descriptive, yes.
yes, it's still looking at the current data, which is also understandable, right? This is pure. It is normal. Once you start your data analytics, normally the first thing you have to do is to go through your descriptive analytics process. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to know. So please, we've been speaking for I don't know how long now. It's been a while, over 1 hour. So can you please ask any questions you may have, or is everything clear to you so far?
Um, from my understanding of what we've been doing today, it's more like the basic theoretical knowledge of everything, and
Yes.
I think I have like an idea. However,
Okay.
the different types of analytics is there are some that are quite new, or I didn't know that they could be grouped as such. So I just believe that we analyze. So that was why I
Okay.
could not easily answer the question you have, because there are some things that we do that are under descriptive, some are prescriptive. It's just
Yeah.
basically speaking to the data that we have. However, the diagnostic is something that I'll be interested in because I get asked certain questions around. So why are we having this? So why are our numbers high now, or why are our numbers low now, or why
Yes.
are customers not, or these suppliers not moving these orders? Do you understand?
Correct.
So now for me to
Correct.
be able to tell from trends what could be the reason and how we'll
Yeah.
be able to address that. So that part of analysis really it's quite new to me.
All right. Fantastic. I'm happy we've been able to share something new with you. That's Thank you very much for sharing. And yeah, I think that covers the aspect of the types of or the categories of data analysis. So I think I'll hand it back to Kingsley at this point. To Kingsley, are you still with us to talk
Yes,
about
bro.
the roles and the task of a data analyst? At least let's make sure that we can at least cover that for today. The roles available and the task of a data analyst. Go ahead, please.
All right, thank you very much. Very, very quickly, we're talking about the roles in data. When I say roles, we're talking about um, the different personalities that come into play uh, when in the whole process of data analysis. All right. Um, in this journey of telling a story, it doesn't always start with you. If you check carefully, it doesn't start with you. It may at some point end with you, but it doesn't always start with you. What I mean by that is this. Now, you just mentioned that you make use of an app for to collect this data from wherever source. All right. So there are the persons who take this data onto the system are part of the process. All right. The people who built the app, who make this app run effectively, are also part of the same process. All right. Then you who now take um this data, this raw data which have been entered by some set of persons, and the app which has been built by some set of persons. You're just like the third person in this channel. All right. Now you're taking this raw data and you're now beginning to process, clean, all of those things we talked about. All right. Model it and all of that in order to come up with a useful summary of everything, so that you can provide useful insight and business decisions. All right. So now the different persons that come in at one point or the other in the process of uh, data analysis. That was what we're looking at very quickly, and I'm going to be running through that. The first person we'll be looking at is the persons we call the business analyst. The business analyst are more or less like they're not very far from the data analysts themselves. In most cases, the business analyst is also a data analyst. All right, because now, of what use will it be for you to analyze your do all this cleaning of your data and everything, and after you've provided your insights, then you just give it to one individual who will now go and begin to read out what the summary you have made. All right, it's just like you making you make a presentation. You design the presentation, put it up on beautiful slides and everything, and then you're handing it over to Mr. B to go and present what you did by yourself. Who is the better person who can explain this thing explicitly and in detail, based on the fact that you did this thing you did this whole work yourself? I think the person who built this is a better person. Just like when a baker makes a cake, all right, the best person who can tell the ingredients and what this cake it contains is not the consumer, is not somebody who was just watching. All right, it's not just the onlooker, it's the person who mixed it, who mixed the flour, and the sugar and everything, and to form that cake, who can tell you, okay, this and this and this was put together in order to come up with this beautiful stuff you're saying. All right, so now in most cases, in our business world, we usually do not have two persons um who play the role of a data analyst and a business analyst. In most cases, the data analyst as well as the business analyst. All right. So that's just the difference between those two persons. But in some other cases, you may have two different people who stand alone. One person who is called the data analyst, and another person who is called the business analyst. So if you hear these terms in an organization, somebody who's called a business analyst, the person just sit down and waits for the data analyst to make all of these inferences and provide for him, and he makes use of it to just go and discuss with the board. All right, so that's for the data analyst. Then there are some other kind of persons who we refer to as the data engineers, and this set of people provide um the provisions, they set up data platforms, technologies, all right, just like the app you just talked about. They provide um these applications, and just the way this like you rightly said, when they make use of the app, it's they as they capture it on the field or wherever, it's sent back. Emmanuel rightly said before, the data is sent back to us. All right, as they enter this data, it goes back to the system, and in some cases it goes back to the a database. All right, it could be the cloud, some other kind of database. I even heard you mention metabase. All right, so these are different kind of databases where data is usually plugged on um, from from the app. Is like a link. All right, so the set of persons who make this available who we call the data engineers. You may have heard of them, you may not have heard of them, but these are people who you cannot do without in in the whole process of data analysis. All right, they manage and secure the flow of structured and unstructured data from multiple sources. Another set of persons, and as a data analyst, you'll be working very closely with a data engineer to make sure that you can access the variety of data. All right, if the data is not coming in the right form, or you just like the dashboard you just mentioned the other time. All right, if you compare what you're seeing on the dashboard with maybe, and when you also have access to the raw DOM or the raw data, and you notice a difference, then you may have to align accordingly with the data engineer. So they work like a hand in hand, like they're they work hand in hand. In one way or the other, you have something to do with them. All right, so that's talking about the data analyst and then the data engineer. Now I'm going to talk about the another set of persons who um, you come across in the whole process of data analysis. This sort of persons are called data scientists. I don't know if you've heard of them before. All of these terminologies are when they mention. In fact, there was this website I was going through one certain time, and I saw vacancies. And I saw vacancy for data analyst. I saw vacancies for data scientists, and the profile, as in the job description for both of them, were totally far apart from each other, and that down to mean that there is a very big gap between the data scientist and the data analyst. Now, the data scientists perform advanced analytics to extract value from data. They evaluate data through a process known as exploratory data analysis. All right, they they make use of predictive analytics, and also make use of machine learning, and the and algorithms and the likes. Okay, this set of persons are um, they they look at data to determine questions that need answers, and will often devise in a hypothesis or an experiment. All right, so they're just like behind the scene kind of persons. All right, they are behind the scene. Unlike you who look at um this data and the on the surface here, they they work behind the scene, and they provide important parts for forecast models and all of that. Okay, so now we have data analysts, data engineers, data scientists, and then we now have one other person who is known as the database administrator. The database administrator. A database administrator implements and manages the operational aspect of cloud and hybrid data platform, such that are built um, on clouds like Azure Data, Microsoft SQL database, and the role of a database administrator is different from that of a data engineer. A database administrator monitors and manages the overall health of a database. All right, they they also work behind the scene. They um they monitor and manage the overall health of a database and the hardware that resides in it. All right, whereas a data engineer is only involved in process of data wrangling, just like ingesting, transforming, and cleaning up the data. All right, so these all of these persons all work behind the scene, like database administrator, the data scientist, data engineers, and before you now come in, who now work on the surface, talking about the data analyst, data and business analysts who now work on the surface. All right, so these are the different people who come into play um, in the whole process of data analysis. All right. So now talking about a data.
Hold on. She's
Okay.
left. She just left the call.
Oops, she's not online. Oh, that's true. Are you trying to reach her?
Yeah, I sent her the link again.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. Did you?
Hello, welcome back.
Okay, I'm back.
All right, welcome, Yola.
I apologize. I think it was the network that knocked me out again.
All right. Okay. So did you were you clear with the the different roles I talked about when it comes to data analysis and where you fall in? I
Okay,
explained.
yes, to an extent, but I didn't know where I fall in. The last part I heard was when you were talking about a an advert you saw for a job role for data analysis, for data scientist and a data analyst, and they were very
Okay,
minor difference.
okay. All right. So after then, I talked about the database administrator, and I said that all of these persons, um, they all work behind the scenes, and where you now come in is the data analyst role, which has a very thin line between them and the business analyst. So I like I explained earlier, I said in most cases the data analysts are usually also business analysts because the once you're able to take those inferences and insights and begin to dish them out, in meetings and run presentations and all with them, that already makes you a business analyst. All right, taking good, useful business decisions, like Emmanuel rightly said earlier in his former place of work, where he gave some what's it called now? Some prescriptive analytics and predictive analytics about stuff, and give them assurance that, you know what, going by trends, if you do this, if you repeat this same stuff, you're going to get the same result. And they did it, and the results came out the same and positive. All right. So that's just the business analyst. So in most cases, data analysts are usually business analysts. But just for some people who just want to um, hold um, positions, they sit down somewhere and call themselves business analysts, while data analysts feed them with information which they work with. Is that clear up to that point? Is that clear up to that point?
Yes, it is.
All right. Okay, so we'll be diving straight into the task of a data analyst. The task of a data analyst. So a data analyst, which you already doing at some point, to some capacity, you're already doing. You only want to just brush up your skills and all. Um, it's one very critical role in an organization. All right, they're like the life wire. They It's more or less like um okay, look at it this way. When you get to an hospital, all right, and the first thing you have to meet the first person you have to meet with is a physician, or somebody who you will tell this is how you're feeling, and the person will examine you and say, okay, you know what, I recommend you for this and this and this. He himself may not give you injection. He himself may not um be the one to give you the drugs. He only recommend that based on this which you have mentioned, or based on your medical history, this and this and this is what I prescribe for you. So, all right. So now bringing that into the business space. All right. Now, somebody sits somewhere and has the business figures at his or her disposal, and looking at the history, um, looking at the
Hello.
history. Can you hear
Hello.
me?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Oh, when did you miss out? Let me. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. All right. So let me go ahead now. So I was saying, I was playing a scenario about a hospital and a patient, and I'm saying bringing that into the business space. All right. Now somebody sits somewhere and has the business figures at his or her disposal, and the person is able to see trends of how the business has been faring in the past days, weeks, months, and years, as the case may be. And based on that, the person is able to say, you know what, um, based on this I observed or I've studied, I suggest or I prescribe or I recommend that we do this step, we take this step, we do this, we reduce our production or we increase our production, or we channel more of our sales guys, or we channel more of our attention to so region because of so reason. All right. For example, if it's an area or a territory where there's always been flooded, or flooded at certain time of the year, someone who has the figures, who has seen that raincoats or rain boots are usually necessary at so regions, because the place is usually flooded and people can't step their foot into the flooded area, and because of that they need a rain boot. Now, this person has studied this to be able um, to come up with this kind of recommendation that, you know what, during this period, don't even bother about this territory, this region do not, there are those on the mainland, they are not usually disturbed by flood, but you see the people on the island, they are, first of all, they are the very classic kind of people. They can't even dip their leg inside um inside a pool, talk more of inside a muddy water or whatever, or flood. So you know what, provide them with this. If you come to the mainland, these guys don't mind pulling up their trousers and stepping their barefoot, just pull off their shoes and stepping their barefoot inside the water. But these other guys on the island, they have the money to afford this. So you know what? Channel your attention here. Now this person is able to come up with this because he has studied the trend and is able to, guide the company on the way they should go. Now just imagine if this person now is providing the company with a wrong information. All right, that's like the opposite. Now it's not beginning to mislead instead of leading them right. It's not beginning to mislead them. All right, in such a case, you just notice that the company will begin to, take a wrong, a wrong turn or a wrong step in the wrong direction. All right, so a data analyst is a very critical role in an organization who help to uncover and make sense of information to keep the company balanced and operating efficiently. No, no. Are you with me? Can you hear me? Confirm that you can hear me, please. Confirm that you can hear me, please.
For me, I can hear you. I just need Adeola to confirm.
Okay.
Adeola, if you're speaking, you're muted though.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear
Okay,
you.
yes, I can hear you too.
Okay. All right. So, like I was saying, um, your role as a data analyst is so critical, and to help to uncover and make sense of information to keep the company balanced and operating efficiently. All right. So therefore, it is vital that a data analyst should clearly understand their responsibilities and the tasks that are performed on a near daily basis. All right. So now you understand why it is important for you to understand your figures, understand your trends, and because the moment you are saying the wrong thing, you're no longer leading them aright. You're beginning to do what? To mislead. All right. And that will not be good for an organization. Okay, so now what are the different things a data analyst does? Five key, just like we talked about KPIs, five keys or five areas that a data analyst is going to be engaging in. Number one, prepare. Prepare, they prepare data, they model data, they visualize data, they analyze data, and they manage data. Five key areas. Number one, they prepare data. In what sense? How do they prepare data? All right. So just like Emma rightly explained earlier, um, starting from where you collect your data from, you need to understand where are you connecting your data from? What source? Are you collecting from the cloud? Are you collecting from an Excel sheet, or whichever place, or whichever database you're linking up to get data from? Okay, you need to know that one very well as a data analyst. All right. Um, so that's for preparation of data. Collect data, prepare it. Then the next thing is to model the data. As a data analyst, you have to, that data you've gotten from whichever source, whichever data source you've gotten it from, you're now supposed to model it in a proper state. And modeling has to do with everything that has to do with putting it in tables and putting them in the right format. Some of the mistakes some data analysts do is not to be able to uniform their data. The source from where you're getting your data from may be junked up, maybe modeled up, maybe messed up. Let me even use that word. It could be messed up, but it is now in your place as a data analyst to now model this data and uniform it and clean it up in such a way that it is easy for you to now take the next step of analyzing and visualizing this data. Otherwise, if the needful is not done, then we may begin to have a problem with um, analyzing and visualizing your data. So the first thing I talked about is number one, data analyst will prepare data, um, talking about cleaning it up, transforming it, and all of that. Then the next thing they will do is to what? Is to model the data. All right. Talking about creating relationship between tables. All right. And making it uniform at every point in time. Then the third step of um, of what a data analyst will be doing is visualizing the data. This is the one of the most interesting parts of a data analyst job. This is a part where you bring your data to life. All right. When I say bringing data to life, I mean all the while your um, your consumers of your data of the data you have analyzed, or the data is they are seeing it in a large chunk form, or just seeing it in a very boring way. But now you are bringing it to life, bringing it to such a point where every layman, the commonest person, can see it and can be able to draw some conclusions or draw some information from it at a glance. At a glance, you're able to tell stories um, from your visualized data, and you can visualize your data in different forms using different softwares. All right. So some of which you have already seen us highlight earlier, talking about your Power BI and the likes. Power BI is one of the um, most rampant used software for visualizing data. All right, it's like that is what it is even built for. From if you look at the the interface shows you that this is what I'm made for. Like this is what I'm made for. All right, so um um then now visualizing your data, then the next thing that a data analyst will now do after visualizing data is to now begin to analyze it. Because if you just plot your graphs and charts and just place them on a screen like you have on your dashboard you just mentioned, um some persons may now begin to tell you, okay, I'm just seeing circles, I'm seeing Lagos showing at 60%. I'm seeing east, I'm seeing west. And it's not just making any meaning. All right. So it is now left to you to now um tell, like, come and now explain. Otherwise, if you just drop your chart um to a board meeting without coming to explain, that's where the business analyst comes in. Remember when I talked about a data analyst and a business analyst? Now the business analyst who sits and just receives this already prepared um, information by the data analyst and just goes to begin to explain or analyze this data. In the case of a data analyst who is playing both role, after you have visualized your data in a very neat and enticing form, it's now left to you to now take it to whoever who is going to finally consume that information which you have nicely presented and explain or present. Let me not even use the word explain, and present what you have visualized. Okay, and different um softwares can be used for this. The most of which I've just explained, which is your BI software can be used for this. Then the last thing the data analyst does is to manage his data. When I say manage encompasses everything. It means your data from start to finish is in your care. It is in your care to ensure that data is neatly presented, that you are not reporting 50% today and tomorrow you want to make reference to today and you are now reporting 60%. No, you your consistency comes in here, ensuring um that your data is coming at the right time, your information is coming at the right time is another thing. Um, Ensuring that your dashboards are neatly kept is another thing. So all of this has to do with managing the data, even storing the data in such a way that it is not accessible by competitors, because there are some persons who should data is something that should be kept. In some cases they are like classified information that should not go out to probably competitors or some set of persons. All right. So it is in the place of the data analyst to also secure the data and ensure that it is not made available to is not in the it doesn't get into the wrong hands. Let me put it that way. All right, and that is why databases are usually locked. If you check carefully, databases are usually locked. Banks do not allow use of laptops, so that people don't get to take laptops home and blah 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 and all of this stuff. All of this is for the right reasons, okay, so that data or information is not let out and it doesn't get into the wrong hands. All right, so let me recap very fast again. Five of the things or the tasks that the data analyst should be doing ranges from preparing the data to modeling the data, visualizing the data, analyzing the data, and then managing the data. All right. So, do you have any question at this point you want to ask? The floor is open. The floor is open. Do you have any questions which you need to ask? You can unmute your mic.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't have any questions at the moment. I think I quite understand the breakdown of the fundamental concepts.
Okay. So would you mind if I ask a question?
Okay.
So, all right. So a very simple one. If I ask
Okay.
which data analyst task has a critical performance impact on reporting and data analysis, like which data analyst task has a critical performance impact, which one is going to affect impact performance, which one is going to have a critical impact on the performance. Is it the model or the analyze or visualizing part of the task? Is it the modeling or the analyzing or the visualizing?
It's going to have an impact on what?
On the performance. a critical impact on the performance of all
Let me help
the.
you with that. Let me help you rephrase that, right? So, thank you very much, Kingsley. So, Jola, what's really asking is, based on the different task that a data analyst has to perform, right? Right, like the modeling part and task, or the analysis or the visualization, right? Which one of these would impact your reporting and data analysis the most? Do you understand? Which of these tasks performed by a data analyst impacts the most when it comes to reporting and data analysis? Which has the
The
greatest
analysis
impact?
part. The
Sorry?
analysis part. I
The
hope the
analysis.
analysis part. And why I say that is because that is the part that actually explains the data. That is the part that speaks to the data. That's the part that allows us to make inferences or decisions from the data.
Okay.
Am I
That's
correct?
hold on, no worry. See that don't leave correctness out of it for now, okay? Leave correctness out of it for now. So you're not wrong with analysis being very important. But before you can successfully analyze, all right, you need to actually have what we call a model. Do you understand? Your model as a data analyst needs to be top notch. Sorry, I'm using that word, but doesn't make it look like it is out of this world. No, top notch. It's without a very good model when it comes to your data, your analysis is in shambles.
The analysis will be wrong.
Do you understand? So it has by design, not because analysis is not important, right? But because modeling, right? If it's not done right, if it is not gotten appropriately, if you have errors where you're not supposed to, if you have missing data where you're not supposed to, if you have dates not being captured the right way, analysis is already off the rails. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Does that
Yes,
make
it
sense?
does.
Yeah. So
Yes,
it's not like it's your analysis is important, visualization is important, but your model, without that foundation being solid, all of these other ones will be.
Yes, I was going to say that. So that means that modeling is the foundation. Every other thing will be built on it. And if the foundation is not solid, every other thing built on it would not stand.
Exactly.
Perfect.
So it's actually on top of data, is on top of your models that you're reporting, your analysis stands. It's actually on top of your model that your analysis stands, and on your model that your reporting stands. Do you understand?
Okay, clear.
Yeah. All right. Actually, we plan to touch on maybe because it was our first time, but we plan to touch on two what we call it topics for today. But even the one we did today, going into deep dive in terms of data analysis and the rest, we are not able to touch the second one. But hopefully by the next class, we'll be able to go further into that and then discuss putting that data together when it comes to Excel, using Excel or Google Sheets, whichever one you are very comfortable with. We can discuss both if you are fine. Thank God you said you already have a basic knowledge of one of them. So whichever one you're comfortable with, the concept remains the same. Okay. We'll talk about data types. We'll talk about so that's what you should be looking forward to, the core data concepts. We're no longer talking about data analysis. We're not trying to take it down to the subject matter itself, what you're trying to even analyze in the first place. When you see a particular data set, when you see a particular kind of data, can you see that that is actually a date? Do you understand? Or can you see that this is actually a closed option data set, like when you have yes and no or false and true? Do you understand? These are called Boolean data. Can you see that this is a number? So being able to understand these different concepts around data helps you formulate. When you start building your model, those concepts start playing a very important role. Do you understand? Not like you cannot start, it's not like you cannot skip it and start building models. You can skip it and start building models, but it is important you understand this concept so that when you're building your models, you know what you're actually building. Okay? You know how to structure your data so that your analysis makes sense. Do you understand? So by the next time we'll be meeting, hopefully by next Saturday as well, and we can agree a time. By next Saturday as well, we'll talk about the data concept and we'll talk about how to put your data together in Excel or Google Sheets for your analytics. The concepts remain the same. So don't mind, it doesn't matter the tool, the concept remain the same. Thank you very much for your time, Adeola. It's been a pleasure sharing this knowledge with you. I mean, it started out, I believe it started out great, but I would like you to share your feedback on today's class for now, so we can know what areas to improve on by the next time. So do you mind sharing your feedback now?
Uh,
Or you want to drop down privately?
okay. Yes.
All right, no problem. So I'll look forward to your feedback as regards to our session for today. So we also know what areas to improve upon when it comes to. And again, there's nothing wrong in saying some nice words, but as much as we love to hear those nice words, we also love to hear areas that we believe are areas of improvement. Okay.
Okay.
Now I will share one more thing with you so that you actually you stumbled upon it earlier, which is good, but it wasn't for the class. It wasn't what I wanted you to see at the time. So I'll share my screen and show you the Google Classroom, which you came across earlier. Remember
Okay.
the screenshot you shared
Yes.
with
The
me earlier.
Google Classroom.
Yes. So
Yes.
we created the Google Classroom to manage our conversation around your class. Okay. So this is just you,
Okay.
myself, and my brother in here at the moment. So what we plan
Okay.
to do with this Google Classroom is if you have signed up to it, you're expected to when we have new things for you, we can share it from here. When we have latest updates for you, we can share it here as regards to your class. When we have something when we want to start sharing maybe work exercises or something, we can share them securely here. Do you understand? Now,
Okay.
beside it, though you don't have access to that yet, but I'll also inform you about it. This is for
Okay.
you. This classroom is for you. We're going to discuss everything. The link to the next class will also be shared here. So keep an eye out for it. I
Okay.
think normally you will get a notification whenever something is shared in here.
Yes.
Now
Okay.
let me show you other classes we have. So as you can see, we have a general Power BI analyst class. Okay, I
Okay.
would also encourage you to be a part of that one. It has that one is completely what is a general class. Let me put it like that. Everybody that is taking part in any data analytics class that we've either done or we are organizing, we expect them to be a part of that.
Uh-huh.
The expectation is even
Okay.
if you are not running your own personal class and we have maybe general knowledge you want to share with everybody, okay,
Okay.
or people that have already signed up for our classes before now, we plan to share all of
Uh-huh.
that. We plan to keep sharing information in there. Okay, participation in it is
Okay.
absolutely free in that particular class, of course, unless when we now have paid classes that we organize there, which is completely optional if you want to attend or not. But anytime we have anything for the general, we would share it
Okay.
right in there. So I'll also send you the link to that so that you can also be a part of
Okay.
both your own class and the
Okay.
um, general Power BI data
Welcome.
analysis. You can also meet other students in there, ask questions and get answers. Do you understand? The
Okay.
truth is, this is a new class. We used to have one, but I'm trying to build it afresh. I want to make sure the focus right now is on Power BI. So we are starting it afresh. That's the one you are seeing at the moment. That's why you can
Okay.
not all these are not all the classes we've run. We actually have a lot more
Okay.
than this before now, including classes on Excel and the rest. But we're trying to
Okay.
create different classes for focus groups, in this case,
Okay.
including Power BI. So I'll share
Okay.
the link to that as well so you can participate in that. Thank you very much
All
for your
right.
time, Adeola. It's been a pleasure sharing
Thank
this knowledge.
you for
I
having me.
look
Thank you.
forward
Thank you.
to meeting you again next time. And we'll
Okay.
look forward to your
All right.
feedback. That feedback is quite important. Kingsley, anything, any
Okay.
words?
Send me the recording of the class too.
Not a problem. We'll drop it in the classroom for you so you
Great.
are fully abreast of it.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Adela, for your participation in today's class. Actively involved, and you always rush back immediately you found yourself out. I really want to commend you, and I just know that at the end of our sections, you you'll be happy you joined. That's just what I'll tell you. So
All right.
thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much.
Thank you for having us tutor you on this.
All right. Thank
So
you.
till we meet again, yeah.
Cheers.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.